Hey guys, it's RivaThames. Today I've got another Testing the Battlefront episode. This week we're looking at more so the tip and trick side of things, expanding on previous tests and looking at different star cards. So let's start off with the thumbnail of this video. Han Solo can use his shoulder charge twice. And basically you can do this by pressing the ability again, just as it's about to end, making him start charging again. Now I'm sure this isn't meant to be a feature, more so a bug, but it's nothing game breaking. At the very most, all it can do is get you out of danger quicker. Or at the start of a galactic assault game, if you manage to get Han Solo, you can get into the action faster by doing 2 shoulder charges. So it's a pretty interesting tip to keep in mind, as it could get you out of harm's way. And the same thing works with Chewie. Since he has a running animation too, he can also do 2 of them. Just make sure not to slam down, because that will not work, but it's a bit trickier to do with Chewie, but it is possible. So both of them can do double abilities, I guess, which is pretty cool, so try it out if you haven't already. Boba Fett can be a bit of a trickster on some maps. I've seen a lot of players use this tactic, and I've recently started using it as well, and it works pretty good. So Boba's For the Hunt ability will pause his jetpack fuel for the time it's active, essentially giving him unlimited fuel. So the tip is, on maps like Naboo, Camino and Bespin, you can fly underneath platforms to hide or avoid taking damage. Then come out from underneath and hit a surprise attack or a rocket barrage onto your enemy. It's quite a sneaky trick and seems to work a lot of the time. Just make sure to use For the Hunt first, as you wouldn't want to fall off the map because you ran out of fuel. Next we got a more fluent way of playing Yaddle. Now Yaddle's striking animations are really well made, but they kind of have a mind of their own, which isn't really ideal in a large group of enemies to be jumping around like that. So why not jump a different way? You can jump and strike the lightsaber at the same time, making it more fluent to play Yaddle. You can jump around and strike while being on the move, not having to pass through the admittedly awesome but long animations of striking. A simple jump and strike can be a lot easier and pull off in Galactic Assault when you need to get out of the way, and it will help with a more free-flowing experience without having to stop too often to pass through that long animation. What else? Well, in my opinion, Lando's smoke grenade is pretty useless. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's quite a wasted ability spot, especially in Heroes vs Villains, but one good use of it is that you can stop being locked on from a turret, for example. You essentially become invisible. But on your side of the smoke, your sharpshot ability can still target those through the smoke. So it's a win-win in Galactic Assault, but not so much Heroes vs Villains. But I guess it can be somewhat good. A great idea was suggested that can Lando then avoid being stunned by Phasma if he throws his smoke on the droid? Which, since the droid may not be able to target him through the smoke, it is possible, yeah. This is a brilliant suggestion because it gives a great way to find another way to counter Phasma, so try this out if you haven't already. The only downside is that once you've thrown your smoke onto the droids, you don't really have an idea of where the droid is, so any of your teammates coming in will probably be stunned by a droid they can't see, which is really unfortunate and quite funny. Now for some star card tests. So for Luke, Maul and Yaddle, they have star cards that give them 1 extra dash, but the recharge is slightly increased. And you guys wanted to see if these are worth using, and honestly, if you manage to get these cards at epic level, like literally there is nothing in it. It's hands down the definite card to use. Being able to use 3 rushes fluently is amazing in hero combat, especially in Galactic Assault. I timed both with and without the star cards, with all heroes this time, and it's literally like a second, if not just over a second in difference at epic level. It's really not a big deal. It's a brilliant star card to have if you haven't used it. Be sure to work towards it, getting it epic for Luke, Yaddle and Maul, and you won't regret it. It's definitely a card you want to be using for sure. Next we're going to test the acid launcher. Basically this star card is for the assault and it acts as a poison. It deals 5 damage a hit, and I think it's about every half second, but I'm not sure. But 5 damage per hit is really good in game modes like Extraction, or if you fire it onto a point in Galactic Assault. it will work really well. However, it's not the biggest cloud. It's quite fair, so it's well balanced, so only those inside the cloud will be hit. Accuracy is key with this star card, but despite only doing 5 damage and having a small radius, the point of it is to act like a deterrent, making players scared to attack the objective because they will lose too much health. Trust me, it works. Players run from the shipment in extraction when one is fired at them. Definitely try it out because it can sometimes be more useful than a thermal detonator if you're looking to win the game over getting kills. Next we got another star card for Luke, and it's his rush immunity. Basically what this does is after Luke does a rush attack, he will receive less damage for 3 seconds afterwards. And I tested it out at epic level in arcade and I was hit with a sniper and the damage reduction was 7. So after using the rush, I took 7 less damage. It's not the biggest change in the world, but it's definitely a good help in Galactic Assault, as almost works as a defensive escape. Using the rush is not only an attack, but to escape by doing that and you can receive less damage at the same time. But the question is, does the damage reduction stack? So if I were to do 2 rushes, for example, will I receive even less damage? And no, this isn't the point. This doesn't work, unfortunately. I think that would be a bit too overpowered for Luke, but it is a good test to try out. So now you guys know that it doesn't stack, but you can see that it is worth using to be able to not take damage after doing that, especially pairing this with the 3 rush star cards, so you can do 3 rushes and take less damage on each of those rushes is a good pair to have. So next we're expanding on a test from last week. So the homing shot, I didn't even realize that you can fire it 3 times at once. I found it was kind of easier to just do it as 1 because 1 was enough to take them down, but I guess it's good if you want to aim for a hero, for example. You can fire 3 off at the same time, or you can fire off, I don't know, 3 people in the distance, but there's no point firing off 3 at 1 person because 1 will take them out. I just didn't know you can fire it 3 times like successively. It's pretty cool, you know, just test it out if you haven't already. The star cards is for the officer and replaces the flashbang, so it's something you want to be using perhaps in those large scale maps like Hoth, but definitely not in small game modes like Blast. As for my jumping out of stuns thing, well, I haven't got as many clips, but I have been experiencing a lot of answers. So if you were to jump or be stunned while you're in the air, you will kind of look like you've been stunned, and sometimes, for example, Boba Fett will be able to fly away from a stun if he's in the air. But if you were to be stunned as Palpatine, for example, you will then flow around, you know, play Palpatine normally, but as soon as you hit the floor, you will be stunned, which I'm not sure if it's a bug. It does look like a bug. It gives you the impression that you can jump out of a stun, but as soon as you hit the floor, you're stunned, which is not ideal because you've just told me that I haven't been stunned. It does look like you can't jump out of stuns. I think what I was trying to say in the last week's episode is that if you've experienced jumping out of a stun, it's probably because you've jumped out of the radius that the stun can reach. So jumping out of stuns is a very hard thing to pull off, I guess. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's a bug. So I wouldn't take this as a proper tip to keep in mind. Just try to get as far away as possible from those heroes with a stun like Iden, because Iden won't be able to stun you from across the map as a lightsaber. But keep in mind that you can block those stuns with a lightsaber from Iden, but just be sure to not get too close because you can be quite vulnerable. For this week's tip of the week, I'm not actually going to give a tip in this video, but I want to direct you guys to my credit gaining video. I made a kind of a study on how to earn the most credits in the least time possible. Basically, playing for just over an hour a day, you can earn up to 50,000 a week to 200,000 credits a month, which is for playing the bare minimum of the game. And that's not even taking into consideration a lot of the game modes you will play after that, but just for an hour a day you can earn so many credits. So I want you guys to go check out this video because it will help you in gaining credits for those skins and for those future Clone Wars heroes. But since they're coming out in another 6 to 8 months, then I don't think you have anything to worry about so soon. But thanks for watching. It's been Riva, and I'll see you in the next video.